I can't see shit. I can't see shit. Oh my God. What's up, guys? John here. Now, lately, I've been really getting into Sega. I've been playing a lot of shooters, not just on the Genesis, but on the Super Nintendo, on the PC Engine, and on the Neo Geo CD. So in doing that and playing those shooters, I've been really getting into arcade games, you know, old arcade ports, games that kind of have that arcade game feel that came out for home consoles. But, you know, basically I've been buying a lot for Sega Genesis lately, and I've been playing a lot of Sega Genesis. So, you know, when you start buying for Sega, you start learning about all the PAL region stuff and all the stuff that was released in Japan that didn't come out over here. And I'm interested in all that stuff. And, you know, I know for me, buying Japanese PlayStation 2 games, I had to buy a Japanese PlayStation 2 or find a test PlayStation 2. I don't know where I'd find one of them at. Not cheaply, anyway. But anyway, for the Sega Genesis, what if I was to tell you that you could play your US region games, your PAL region games, and your Japanese games on one system? And you can. With this guy right here, the Game Genie for Sega Genesis. You know, not only does this give you a bunch of great codes that you can use to fly through a lot of games you might have trouble with, but it also circumvents all the region locking on the Sega Genesis cartridges. So the original Game Genie was first released in 1990 by a company called Codemasters. And later on down the road, over the years, they generally released these for every cartridge-based system. You know, all the way up to, I guess, the Super NES, Genesis, and Game Gear. And, you know, they came out a couple of years later. But anyway, when I bought this Game Genie, the guy I bought it from, you know, he told me he didn't test it. He never cleaned the board on this thing. So I noticed that there is a switch right here. And although you can, I believe you can use this for the region locking capabilities without having the switch on, in order to put codes in the Game Genie and have them work anyway, you have to have this switch switched, and it has to light up. So when I first got this thing didn't work. You know, I was kind of pissed off, although I only paid like $4 for it. But, you know, it's just like any other game. If it's not working, you got to clean the card off. So what I found is there's a sticker, and they cover each one of these 4 holes right here. So, you know, what you got to do is, and this is real simple, you know, just take the screws out. Sometimes they're kind of tricky, but they do come out. And, you know, I just used the screwdriver to pop these holes through the sticker. And then what I did is I actually took a little piece of sandpaper and ran it around the holes so that they were nice and smooth. But I'll just show you how to take this thing apart. Because, you know, if you find one of these at a yard sale or in a flea market, you know, if it's not coming from a retro game store, you know, there's a strong chance that it might not work, and you might just need to clean the board off. So anyway, you got to open it like this. This side comes off first. Sometimes it can be a rascal, but there you go. And there's 4 posts that, you know, this thing sits on. So there's another little lip right there. This pops right out. And there's your Game Genie. Now, mine was covered in crud and muck, and it's like pizza sauce got spilled inside of this thing. So right here where the switch was, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like scrape marks. I had to like scrape and clean all this stuff off for the switch to work and for the light to work. And of course I cleaned the board off there. But yeah, this thing's in good working condition now. So yes, I paid $4 for this thing. I thought I bought a dud, but it turns out I just had to clean it off and it worked fine. And really, for most games, I've come to find out that when they don't work, most of them just need a good cleaning, that's all. How'd this go in there? Oh. Goes like this. There we go. Okay, when you put this back on, you got to be careful when you put this thing back on. Come on, you rascal. Yeah, this wasn't on there right. There you go. There we go. All right, now let's slap it in the Genesis and see how it works. All right, so now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of what this game Genie can do. Now, for the purpose of this test, I'm going to use a Mega Drive version of Stormlord. Now, this is actually the only Mega Drive game that I own at this point, but for the purpose of this demonstration, it should work fine. Now, I just want to show you one thing before I throw this in the game Genie. Now, Mega Drive games are shaped differently. Now, the pin set, at least to me, looks exactly the same, but the shape of the cartridge, like this would be a normal Genesis shaped cartridge, in the Mega Drive, I mean, as you can see, this has some corners that aren't rounded, and this doesn't. So when I put the game Genie in, which is the basic size of a Genesis cartridge, at least in the bottom, it fits in fine. But when I throw the Mega Drive game in, it doesn't fit, you know, because the opening's not the same size. So because there's no plastic edge surrounding the game Genie, all you have to do is pop it. Sometimes it's a tight fit. That's what she said, right? But you just pop it right in, and then bam! Right on the Sega Genesis. So when this thing boots on, it's going to give you, whether you have the switch on or off, it's going to give you that screen where you can enter codes. Now, the only thing you have to do, unless you want to enter some Mega Drive codes in, is just hit start. And there you go. Now you're playing Mega Drive games on your US Sega Genesis. Now remember, this will work with PAL and Japanese cartridges. There you go, Stormlord. Mega Drive card on a Genesis. Alright guys, till next time.